Oh,
Why
absolutely.
Why villains who get along with the MC/charismatic villains. Kesserin, Navani, and how do you say her name?
Oh, what's her name?
You know who I'm talking about.
Yalai?
No, the
Oh,
Yep.
Mike?
Michelle?
Michelle?
No, like.
Oh,
female
Michelle. Yep.
The Crusader antagonist. Every time.
Yes.
So crap. This
Hrathen.
dude. Him.
Hrathen, Thanos.
Thanos. Right.
Wait, Hashar.
I know, and Han.
And Han.
I love it so much.
Oh, man.
Who else? Because I feel like there are a lot of.
Is now a good time to tell you we're recording? Hello. We're here and we're hanging out. You've noticed we have a guest. This is my great friend Sarah Grace, and we're here to ramble and talk about our favorite tropes. This podcast thing is gonna have a title. I don't have one yet. Honestly, we're just random tangents. We're just here to talk about whatever. We were gonna talk about tropes, weren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Theoretically. We're going to start talking about tropes, and then stuff's gonna happen. And we don't know what kind of stuff.
That's usually how it goes when we talk.
That's how it goes every single time.
Are we gonna have a rant counter?
Oh,
in the corner?
Oh, absolutely. If I can figure out how to do that, we are absolutely going to have a rant counter.
I will do my best. To not rant.
She's going to rant.
I'm going to rant.
We know this.
I'm going to do my best to not.
Okay, so we also have a list. We're going to start with a list of obscure / made up tropes that we love.
Okay, but aren't all tropes made up?
All tropes are made up.
It's just like patterns that you see over and over.
But we've decided that there are certain tropes that we really like and that we want to see more of.
Specific tropes.
Very specific tropes. Not like, we could start with the first one because it's not chosen one, but yours is...
Yeah, the self-appointed chosen one.
The self-appointed chosen one, which is... Explain. Enlighten us.
Okay, let me look at my examples. I'm going to look at my notes.
We have... This is very unprofessional, you guys. Don't expect coherent thoughts today.
Don't expect.
Just
the self-appointed chosen one is kind of I don't know, it's like your typical chosen one character, except they put themselves in that situation, I guess, in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, I have a long list. My main character in my book. I guess we could start with Vin, because that's
that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Because the typical archetype for the chosen one trope is there is some sort of prophecy or some sort of in-world thing that happens to a person. Like it happens in Wheel of Time, it happens in Harry Potter, and there's this external force that says you have to do this thing, but self-appointed chosen one is, all right, I guess I'll do it.
this thing needs to be done, or the world needs to be saved, so I'm going to do it.
Right.
So yeah, Vin from Mistborn. Right there.
Yes. Should we? I'm gonna hold it out.
The
leather bound. My singular flex of all time. It's beautiful.
Okay.
But yeah, let's talk, because Vin is just like, she's a street urchin who has magic powers.
Yeah.
And
kind of get the chosen one vibes at the very beginning, because Wise Old Mentor comes and tells her she has magic, except magic isn't all that uncommon.
Right.
So
I think that's one of the interesting things about Sanderson's magic, is it's like, being told you have magic isn't like, you're a wizard, Harry. It's like, it's almost like coming up to somebody and explaining their genealogy to them.
Yeah.
And they're like,
it kind of is.
It kind of is, yeah.
Especially in Mistborn.
And it's just like, oh, all right. I didn't know this about myself, but also, okay.
If you haven't read Mistborn, spoiler warning.
Yes.
Major spoiler warning.
I will put spoiler warnings in for all of the book series that we spoil in the description. So check that out if
You have fun with that.
Yeah, I was.
I'm gonna spoil
I'm
a
so
lot of
sorry.
them.
We're gonna spoil a lot of things today.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. We'll try to stay.
Some of them are
Mm-hmm.
kind of self-explanatory.
Right.
But yeah. Okay, so Vin. Yeah, if you don't know the story and you don't care about spoilers, or if you read it a really long time ago and forgot, which, shame on you. Vin has magic and doesn't know it. It's the trope, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wise old mentor, not that old, but
not that wise.
mentor figure comes in and tells her, "You have magic." She goes, "Huh."
Cool.
And things happen. That's basically
That's basically
that's
it.
basically it.
And like so many instances throughout the story, she does chosen one things because she's just in a position of like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And there's a need, there's a war, there's a fight. She's like, all right, I'll go do it. Sounds good. And so she just, I don't know, it's really interesting because you get those same story beats. But I think one of the problems with the chosen one tropes is a lot of times it takes away characters' agency. Like Harry, if there's the prophecy was given a little more nuance, and so it's not so much like you will defeat the Dark Lord, but one of you has to die.
Yeah.
And you kind of know with the trajectory of the story that like, oh, this is how this is gonna play out. But with the self-appointed chosen one, and I guess with the prophecy is what I'm trying to say is like, well, sometimes it's like, oh, well, he was always going to do that. There's a prophecy.
Yeah.
This is kind of boring.
It takes away stakes.
Yeah, it takes away a lot of the stakes.
There are a lot of stakes.
But yes. But then with self-appointed chosen one, there isn't that sort of like, well, we know what's going to happen already. Because, and I won't spoil this part of Mistborn, but if you've read the books, you know what we're talking about. It's like
the thing. At the end.
She being a self-appointed chosen one, there's nuance with that makes the story more complicated. And I think when you have that sort of agency with the character, it works really well, and it adds that sort of depth.
Well, and I will raise, I guess myself, the single self-appointed chosen one, and raise you like 3 self-appointed chosen ones in one story. Because we have. So
for those of y'all who don't know, SG is also a writer. Her nickname is SG as well. She's working on a fantastic series of books, and it has 3 self-appointed chosen ones.
Oh, I was still talking about.
Oh,
that is true, but I was still talking about Mistborn.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten that we talked about that. There are 3 self-appointed chosen ones.
Again, spoiler warning. If you haven't clicked away now, though.
It's too late.
It's too late.
You're in too deep.
But, what's his face? The dude...
Rishak?
Him.
Yeah.
Who, the Lord Ruler.
The Lord Ruler.
Was a self-appointed chosen one. Because, he killed the chosen one and took power becoming a self-appointed chosen one.
Right.
Then you have Vin, self-appointed chosen one, who does the thing. Then... I guess we're not spoiling the very end, in which case I will just say the character, I am unfortunately the hero of ages. That character. You have 3 of them.
3. The thing is, I don't think the last one's self-appointed. I think that last one was a legit chosen one.
I don't know that it was.
But
I think it was another character who was just in that position.
That's a fair point.
And maybe he thought he wasn't. Maybe he didn't consider himself a self-appointed chosen one. But anybody could have taken that power at the end. It wasn't like this is inevitably going to happen. And I think that's what we're talking about.
That's a good point.
It's the inevitability versus.
Right. That makes a lot of. Yeah, I'm self-appointed chosen one.
Self-appointed chosen.
Okay, hold on one second.
My voice is embarrassing. I don't like listening when you
No, it's okay. It gets better over time. We love you. You're great. Coffee. I should have gotten coffee. I'm not gonna get coffee.
You need to get a little table right here and little coffee mugs for when you have guests.
Yes, here. I'm just gonna hold my Vibes mug and pretend it has coffee in it.
Mine isn't fancy. Mine's just like a thermos.
Here, wait. You you take this one.
Dang it. Okay. I'm just gonna. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can. I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Wait.
See,
I'm
is
not
this
a Gryffindor. Cheers.
Oh,
But it's a bigger mug.
yeah. This is a mug podcast now. I warned you. I'm sorry.
The podcast where I'm a Ravenclaw. Not that anybody asked.
We asked.
Okay.
Also, it's not. You say that like they could ask.
This is true. Nobody asked for me to be here either.
I did.
I did.
No. Do we need to look through chat history?
We might. I
I'm
think it was
the only
on
one who-
FaceTime.
I'm the only one who has chat history,
No,
so I can
have
make up
this,
whatever I
I have
want.
this recent of chat history though.
Oh man.
Oh man. Okay. Are
Anyway.
we gonna move on, or are
We can
gonna
move
talk
on.
about
Do we want to talk more self-appointed chosen one? I'm gonna put my
I
Bible.
don't know. There's so many. I guess I could just like rattle off my list.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, what are your thoughts on Frodo as the self-appointed chosen one?
Frodo is a self-appointed chosen one.
Because I still think it
I'm
works.
not sure.
It's a little bit of both.
It is.
A little bit.
Because he's also, it's a different vibe, right?
It is a different vibe, but I mean, some of these are different vibes. Like,
Right.
Tony Stark does not have the same vibe as Vin. But he's on the
Yes.
list because he made the decision to
Right.
take this on.
Uh-huh.
So Aaron has a very... Actually,
Aaron
Aaron
from
and
Attack.
Vin have slightly similar vibes, and it's a little bit scary.
You've got a really good point there. They have
I don't
very
know
similar
how to
vibes.
explain it, but it works.
Yeah.
It is there.
It totally works.
And David
David. Wait, is David Charleston a self-appointed?
from Steelheart?
I don't know.
From Reckoners?
I don't feel like he's a self-appointed chosen one.
He's a self-appointed chosen one in the same way that Tony Stark is and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Like,
He
in
doesn't
this
act
sense-
like a chosen one, though.
he doesn't.
This is David Charleston from Steelheart by
From
Brandon
Reckoners.
Sanderson. I have that.
It's right
Yeah. Steelheart. Will it come out? Yes. Fantastic book, by the way. It's Sanderson.
It's
Of course.
Sanderson. I actually didn't like the first one all that much, but I liked the other two.
I really liked. I haven't read the second two. I've only read the first one. But
I'm trying to think if there are any points that I can make that are
The-
later. Okay.
I think what I liked about Steelheart is that the plot hinged on a single question. You can put it away or however.
There we go.
Perfect. The plot hinged on a single question, and the answer to the question is so difficult and so simple.
What is the question?
I'm gonna bleep this out because spoilers, but it's
Okay, but that's a question of the first book.
This is true.
And so my point with him being the self-appointed chosen one trope is that he was the one who did the thing.
Right.
He's the one who answered the question. He's the one...
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me check. Actually, it's been a minute.
Well, yeah,
When
because
does he do the thing?
it's at the very end. It's like in the last couple pages.
No, it's before this. Oh, okay. Technically not. He is the person who figured it out, but he's not
Right.
the person
Uh-huh.
who did the thing. But he is the person who figures out... I don't know how to explain this. I don't know how to explain this without spoiling it for
He
you.
answers the question.
He does. He answers the
I've read
question.
spoilers for the
Oh.
second two books.
You really?
Yeah.
I
I didn't think I was gonna read them.
He figures out, spoiler warning, he figures out how to turn epics good.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And so, in that sense, he
Right.
saves the world.
He becomes a self-appointed chosen one.
That's my point.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see that.
I don't mean
But
like
he's
from
not-
the beginning. No, I don't mean from the beginning. I mean he becomes one.
Right. Which is kind of like the definition of a self-appointed chosen one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some ways he is one in Steelheart in the sense that like Steelheart is his world,
Mhm.
and he thinks by killing Steelheart he will save his world.
Right. but
Spoilers.
mhm.
Yeah, the thing.
The thing.
You know, you get it.
You know.
Who else did I have on here? People that you don't like from books that you don't like. We can move on. Oh, actually, first I wanted to talk about Arcane just really fast.
Oh yeah.
Because
Okay.
I put Arcane in a couple categories on here
All
of
right.
like I'm not quite sure
Okay.
because it's not far enough into the series to be able to say whether or not
Right.
the character I'm thinking of is the self-appointed chosen one, but he has the vibes.
Who?
and
Which character?
Jace.
Jace.
And he almost has the vibes of like another thing on this list, which is chosen ones like being corrupt, like going
See, I
towards
think
the corruption route.
Jinx is a self-appointed chosen one
Explain.
because of the way she treats the upper city, and she sees this problem, or Piltover. She sees this problem and she's like, all right, well, I'm gonna do it. And it's
Do it.
very much in a Lord Ruler-esque sort of like taking matters into my own hands.
Well, in that case, she would also fit into the corrupted chosen one.
Yes.
Is that even on
Did
here?
you get that from the Daniel Green skit?
Yes, I
Corrupted
How dare you? Oh yeah, it's chosen ones who fail and turn evil.
Yes.
And or turn evil.
That's a fun
Lord
trope.
Ruler. I said Arcane,
Mhm.
and I said Anakin from Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah,
he
that's
is
right.
the chosen one.
He is the chosen one. That's another thing, an interesting nuance with the chosen one tropes. I love it when the prophecy is misinterpreted.
Oh, it's so
I
good.
think that makes
I almost put that on here.
that adds an extra level of nuance, and it makes the world feel real, and it adds the suspense of like, because then when you figure out what the prophecy actually means, then it's like, oh, I can't believe I missed that.
Or when the prophecy is like completely made up. Like when somebody was like, there's this problem, and you know, chosen ones just like seem to like pop up, you know, when you say here's a prophecy, here's a problem. So I'm gonna create a prophecy so that somebody saves the
Right.
world. Because
Yes, exactly.
Mistborn, it like fits.
And
the movie.
also the Lego movie.
I haven't seen it.
Ah, the Lego
I've
movie
seen
has
like
a
parts
great.
of it. Don't yell at me. They can't yell
That's
at me.
fair. They can't. They have the
I
comment
can say
section.
whatever I want.
Titus will yell at you in the comment section.
No, he won't.
Well, now that we've said
Now
it.
that we've said it, he will, but he wouldn't have.
You're very unpredictable, Titus.
You're very predictable and very unpredictable in the sense that you don't want to be predictable and you know you're predictable, and so you're predictable in the sense that you do unpredictable things from time to time.
Whoa. Breaking the fourth wall. Put it there.
We also just like
Oh.
brought up somebody who you need to get Titus in town.
Oh,
and get
absolutely.
him, he can respond to this,
we're
and then I
looking-
can yell at him in the comments.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry.
All right. What's our next trope?
Oh, next trope. The smart idiot.
The smart idiot. I love this trope. The smart idiot. And kind of like I guess the way we explained this was it's a character who's really competent and really good at something, but is also kind of an idiot.
And you kind of forget that they're smart.
Right.
Because they just act like an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Like Scott
Scott
Lang
Lang.
from Ant-Man.
I was watching
Like,
Ant-Man last
He
night.
has like a master's degree in electrical engineering. He's really smart. He pulls off a heist, but because of the comedy
Mhm.
and because he's so clueless and because he's in a situation that he's not familiar with,
Mhm.
you're like, this guy's such an idiot.
He only mentions it like once,
Right.
and we forget about it, and we also forget that like, I don't know, at least I did, we pass over the fact that he does all of these incredible things that we wouldn't be able to do,
Right.
and just are like, oh my gosh, he's an
Mhm.
idiot.
Right. And like the whole fight scene with the Falcon, where
Mhm.
he goes in and he's just getting beat up, and then they disappear into the thing, and they're back, and Hank's like yelling at him like, I can't believe you did this was so irresponsible, and he just like pulls the thing out of his sleeve and slaps it on the table like,
And he's like, I got it
but
done.
I did it.
But
And
I
it's
got
like,
it done. Oh my gosh.
it's so good.
But I was watching Ant-Man last night, and this is where the
Yes.
conversation came
Uh-huh.
from. But the scene where he breaks in and like, you know, gets into the safe and gets
Yes.
the Ant-Man suit.
Uh-huh.
Like, I rewatched that and I was like, I always forget this is in here.
Right.
Because he's so smart. He's like, first of all, he already knows, like, what he needs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he, like, fills up the blow-up mattress, puts a sheet, and you're like, why is he putting a sheet? Why is he doing these things? Puts water in the thing, you know. He First of all, he knows what kind of steel the safe is made of. Like,
right. It's like, where did you get this from?
Why do you know? Well, first of all, why do you know that? But also, yeah. And then he knows what to do to freeze the safe so that it expands and it kind of, like, explodes.
Exactly.
He knew to, like, put the mattress down on the floor so that the safe would fall on something.
And came ahead of time with the mattress and the sheet.
Did he, or was it in the house?
I think he brought it with him.
He also knew how to get the fingerprints,
yes.
You know, and but then it was really the sheet thing. Like, he puts up like I guess it's a comforter, a quilt, I don't know.
Yeah.
Up on the wall, and I'm like, why did he do that? And then he goes and hides behind the corner, and the bolts are like flying off and like hitting the sheet. I'm like, he is a genius.
But he's also an idiot.
He's an idiot. So yeah, smart idiot.
It gives that character nuance. And another one of my favorites is Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender, because he's actually really smart and he comes up with like all of like the incredible plans in like later seasons, but he's also like flawed and insecure and goofy and funny, and this makes for like you see his strength, but then you also like in I think it was season 3 episode 4 when all of the meteor hits and all of his friends are off bending and stopping the fire and saving people, and he's just like, there Momo.
I think a great example of him being that is if you watch, I don't know what episode it is. I guess this is the only filler episode in Avatar that we all say like,
wait.
It's the one with the short stories.
Tales of Ba Sing Se?
That one, yeah.
Oh, I love that episode.
We're not going to talk about the thing because I'm going to cry. We're going to talk about...
Leaves from the Vine.
So we're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about when Sokka goes and is like reciting poetry.
Yes.
Because you're like, oh my gosh, what an idiot. Again. But like, think about what he did. He like walked in, learned what like, were they doing?
They were doing haikus.
He learned what a haiku was. And then, like, rattled off a bunch of them. Like, it takes me, like, an hour to write
Right. Them. Yeah. And he's just, like, the analysis and the, like,
it happens
mental
so
capacity that you have to take of, like, like, first of all, he's thrust into the situation. Like, he gets kicked through a window, basically.
Literally thrust into the situation.
Is just like, well, this is fun.
I'm gonna do this now.
And, like, it works. And so it's, like,
and
also...
he blows people's minds.
Right. And the fact that he's not, like, so often it's, like, I think when people are writing characters, they feel like the character has to be one or the other. But I found that oftentimes it's
You're a smart idiot.
I am a smart idiot.
He's a genius.
I lean further towards idiocy than intelligence. But oftentimes it's like contrast and nuance.
Even your idiocy, see, I can't talk. Even your idiocy is eloquent.
I don't know whether to be complimented or insulted, so I think I'll do both.
Okay.
Because contrast and nuance, and it makes things interesting, you guys.
We'll have to have a discussion about contrast one time.
Oh,
I wrote
yes.
an essay on it.
Oh, this would be next time we get SG here on the podcast. Contrast.
That might be a minute.
Might be a minute.
Oh yeah, but the smart idiot. So yeah, another one. I know you haven't seen Psych, have you?
I have not seen Psych.
Okay, well, for those of you who have, because it's a great show, and if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Sean Spencer, the main character in Psych, is like, oh my gosh, such an idiot. He fits the trope, so of course he's an idiot. But like, he acts like a 5-year-old, and it's really easy to forget that he is a genius. Because he just like looks around a room and I don't know, his brain just works really fast. He puts things together. He's really great at solving puzzles, I guess is how you put that.
And
he also knows random things.
Yeah.
He doesn't have perfect recall, but like something along those lines as well. But yeah.
And I think what's interesting, another kind of facet of the trope, is a lot of times like the intelligence and the idiocy come hand in hand because these characters are so smart that they're bored.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I've
definitely
heard you
a
talk
thing.
about it like with Sean. I haven't watched the show, but I've heard you.
He's an Enneagram 7 for those of you who know
Yes.
the Enneagram.
And that's also like that fits with the type of Enneagram 7s. Is Enneagram 7s are always like caricatured as happy-go-lucky, kind of like I don't care about anything and not very intellectual. But 7s are sharp.
They're really
7s
smart.
are so smart and they're so quick on their feet. Like you put them in like a debate with someone and they'll just dance circles around them because they're so smart. But because their brains move so fast, they're bored. It's like, what was the line from Civil War where Tony goes to Clint? He's not a 7, but this fits the vibe of like, he's tired of
stressed.
And Tony goes like, oh, how's retirement not working for you? He's like, oh, I played 18, shot 18. Can't seem to miss.
Yeah, that one.
And it's like, there's that vibe with these smart idiots of like, they've got so much capacity that it's like in normal life.
Lance is a smart idiot, though.
No, he doesn't fit the
He's
trope.
smart.
But the line is like, kind of matches up of like, if you're so competent at something, then when you're like in a group or with people who aren't feeling that, then it's like, well, of course. And so that makes it really interesting. Like when you put, what was one of the, give me a character. Scott Lang. It's like you see him in a social situation and he's just like goofy and weird, but then you put him in that heist and all of a sudden you see this switch of like,
it's kind of like a switch.
He's actually like, you see him in his like, now he's challenged. He's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
And that there's that subtle shift.
With Sean, he doesn't often like sit down and he's not serious often. A lot of his character, I mean, it's a comedy. A lot of his character is him messing around and him being an idiot. And every now and then he'll come across something that's really serious or something that he just can't figure out. And he will like sit, and this is like an Enneagram thing as well that Caleb will get to.
I'm working on it.
But he like will sit down at his desk and like fold his hands and he'll just like stare at something. And he's like really still. It happens very rarely, but like the show moves so quick. And there's also one episode where somebody close to him gets kidnapped and threatened. And you see his disintegration to 1.
Yes.
And him just like being very still, and there's like no humor. And his best friend like comes in, realizes that he needs somebody to lighten the mood. His best friend comes in and helps to try and lighten the mood, but he's not really a funny guy. He doesn't have the same. It's funny because it's stupid.
Right.
Because it's not funny. It's awkward.
Yes.
But like,
because watching people embarrass themselves is apparently funny because we're all sadists.
Then you should enjoy this. Anyway, yeah. But that fits with your
yeah. Huh.
I mean,
okay, I'm gonna check the thing real quick.
Okay.
Because I don't know if we're recording and it scares me.
Okay. You should put a mirror back there, and then you can always check it.
That's smart. Smart idiot, you guys.
I'm an idiot?
No, I'm talking about me.
Oh.
I'm trying to do smart things, but I'm also an idiot because there are very obvious things I could do that make this easier.
I feel like smart idiots.
You're just
also
smart.
Do...
You're just smart.
Debatable. But other characters that fit that. David from Reckoners,
David from Reckoners.
Hoyd.
If you know, you know.
We're just gonna leave it at that.
Hoyd.
Light Song from Warbreaker.
From Warbreaker.
Day from I read YA.
She reads YA. Well,
it's a guilty pleasure that I don't feel guilty about because I learn what to do and what not to.
Honestly, it's like, it's personal preference. You like YA. I don't think that's anything to be ashamed about.
I like other things too.
I just don't like YA.
I like some YA. Hey, you like Six of Crows.
I like Six of Crows. Review coming on that as well. I haven't finished the book yet. I've been busy.
You gotta finish both of them though.
Yeah.
Review them.
I know.
But yeah, Day from Legend. Jameson from Inheritance Games. Again, if you know, you know. If you don't, moving on. Next one was Enemies to Friends.
Enemies to Friends. This is a great trope.
So yeah, the first one on there is Zuko and the gang. Avatar.
If you've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender,
we're gonna talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it. Spoilers for Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm sorry if you haven't watched it,
Yeah.
but I feel like this isn't necessarily a spoiler that makes. I have other thoughts. There are certain spoilers that I don't think decrease the value of a piece of media.
I kind of think Avatar is one of those shows that gets better the more you watch it. Not
Yes.
The first time I watched it, I was like, huh, this is good. The second time I watched it, though.
Yes. I've watched it, I think, 3 times through.
I've watched it more. How do you know episode numbers?
Huh? Because smart idiot.
Because I just like let it play through while I'm like doing things.
I sit down
and that's why so you probably paid more attention.
Because I sat down and watched it the first time.
See, I did
and then I watched, like, I don't know what it was. I think I was either really stressed or I had just finished watching something really depressing.
Like Attack on Titan.
Like Attack on Titan. And I was like, no, this isn't working. I need to pick me up. So I watched it again. And then I introduced my sister, Sadie, to it. And so we watched the whole thing through together.
I also just realized another one that can go on here is from Attack on Titan.
Oh.
We'll have to put a spoiler warning for that one because I want to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Zuko and the gang, if you've seen Avatar, then you know that Zuko has probably the best redemption arc ever written.
In the history of redemption arcs.
Like,
it's the
actually.
greatest.
Like, yes, it's a kid's show, but...
If you haven't watched Avatar, it is a kids series that premiered, well, it was like in the 2010s or something. And it was on Nickelodeon. It ran for 3 seasons. But the storytelling quality and the way everything works and the world building, and it's written for kids, but even the humor is funny to me and funny to adult. Like, it's so high quality.
The writing in Avatar rivals a lot of adult things that I've read.
And surpasses a lot of adult things that I've read and watched.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm like looking,
I mean, you have a lot of, oh my gosh, can I borrow this?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to look on your shelf. Let me think about
But it's just like, it's top notch. And Zuko starts as the antagonist of the first season, because he's hunting the Avatar, and then slowly I must capture the Avatar and restore my honor. Zuko, look, it's your honor. Where?
Is that the top meme?
No. You're horrible.
I am horrible.
Oh, but that was Ember Island Players.
Oh yeah.
That episode, I feel like that episode deserves a video of its own.
Did he just die?
It's very
unclear. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
But yeah, Zuko and the gang. Hi, Zuko here.
Yes.
But I guess you already knew that.
Because over the course of the 3 seasons, he goes and like works through his own inner turmoil and realizes that he's on the wrong side and needs to join up with the Avatar. He gets some therapy.
Uncle Iroh.
Because Uncle Iroh is the best.
There are so many characters in this show. People always ask me who my favorite character is. I'm like, it's a tie, and then I list like all of the characters.
See, Zuko is my favorite character.
I think
easily on my like top 5 favorite characters ever.
Zuko and Sokka, probably. For different reasons.
Yeah.
But I love all of the characters. I really like Aang too. Like, there are not many protagonists I like. I usually hate protagonists because I'm quirky and different.
And not like other girls.
I mean, I feel like that's a pretty common thing though. People don't like protagonists.
I usually like protagonists.
Really?
Because I'm quirky and different.
Oh, fair enough. Well, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I didn't like Daisy.
Yeah.
And I felt like she was very much like the protagonist, even though it didn't have a clear main character. But anyway, Aang.
Yeah, Aang's great.
Wonderful. I would die for him.
But enemies to friends is a variant on the enemies to lovers trope, which is it's kind of a variant. Because it's like
it's definitely a variant. I was saying
because in like YA you have enemies to lovers. I mean, these 2 people come, they hate each other, but Oh, he's attractive.
I have a love-hate relationship. It has to be done right, and it can be done right. It's usually not.
If you couldn't tell, I don't like the enemies to lovers trope.
I like... This is another very specific trope I could have put on.
I say I don't like the enemies to lovers trope. I'm writing an enemies to lovers trope.
You are? Oh. Yeah. I mean, this is another very specific trope I could have put on here, but friends or lovers to enemies to lovers. I like that one.
All the drama. Can you tell that she's an Enneagram 4?
Can you? I don't
Probably.
know.
I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Can you tell if SG is an Enneagram 4? What's that? What's that? You like a velociraptor now?
No, it's down in the comments. Okay, whatever. Whenever you want to put something in the comments, say put something in the comments, you need to put a little velociraptor.
This is a terrible idea, and I'm doing it.
Do it. Anyway, I don't know. It's like, I don't believe, I think it's entertaining when characters hate each other, but I don't believe that if you actually hate somebody, well, see, I don't know how to explain this. This is going to be come out not right and very complicated.
It's okay. We're here for it. This is the purpose of the podcast.
Let me think. Let me think through my words. Let me think before I speak.
What is this greenery? The greatest weakness is landscaping. How did they know? I'm sorry.
Well, you always end up on the floor.
Because it's fun. I'm done.
I'm getting my coffee.
Coffee break.
Really good coffee. Wow.
You're
You
welcome.
did a great job. No, I did this coffee. How dare you? I'm trying to think of examples of it. I don't.
Friends to enemies to lovers.
Okay, so Six of Crows, I think, does this well. I guess, spoiler warning, if you don't know this, no, you know this.
Oh, I know.
It's Nina and Matthias.
Oh, yeah.
Because they started out on opposite sides, and so it's enemies, not... It works when they're enemies for reasons outside of themselves. It doesn't work when they meet each other and they say, I hate you, and then grow to have a relationship. I don't like that.
It's unrealistic when it's like, I have a personal dislike of you.
It doesn't usually work. And usually the problems that you have with the other person don't just go away, even if you understand them, and they will come up as problems later on in the relationship. Right. This is relationship advice with SG, who has never been in a relationship.
This is where the best relationship advice comes from.
I write relationships, though, and I like to think most of the relationships I write are relatively... I take it back. I was going to say something, and then I... thought about two characters in particular. Anyway, what was I saying?
It works when they're just on opposite sides.
Yeah. So Nina and Matthias. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. This is how the show says it. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I said it in a different way before. Right. No, I'm always right now. There you go.
Your mom's always right.
But
words. But I think I get what you're saying.
Sides of the war, and they hate each other. Well, she doesn't hate him. She thinks that he doesn't understand, which is true.
Right.
He just doesn't understand.
Focus, SG.
I can't. He hates her because she's a magic user, and he thinks all magic users are evil because that's how he was brought up. And so that works because then they're like stranded together and they have to rely on each other to survive. And she uses her magic to help keep them both alive. And he kind of begins to see her as a person and not as an idea, I guess, is how you would put that. And so they kind of like start to fall in love. And then something happens that they become enemies where it's not exactly...
She, like, betrays him, doesn't she?
Ish. It's not
Ish.
exactly the miscommunication trope. It was kind of like, there's a terrible option and a kind of terrible option. And she went with the kind of terrible option because there were no other choices. Like, they were, like, he was either gonna die or go to prison. And she chose prison. And he, to a certain extent, I think he knows that, but he also blames her for putting him in that situation, which is kind of fair because there probably was a third option. I'd have to go back and reread it. But yeah, so like that works. And that's all I have to say on that.
And it's interesting that you say that because when we're on different sides of the war, because it's a shift in values, because I value my country, like we would work really well together in a relationship, but I believe this, you believe this. And so then it's kind of like, is this relationship stronger than these extraneous values?
It happens in Avatar too. Zuko and May.
Because
they were like childhood friends, and then they kind of had a thing for each other when they were kids.
Right.
Then they grow up, they kind of go their different paths.
And Zuko
betrays his... Zuko starts down his redemption arc. May isn't really involved. They're not like in the same...
They're separated.
Parts of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Then Zuko, you know, like reverts... Zuko reverts back, you know. Yeah.
Drama.
Drama ends
happens.
up back with his country. They get together. Then he betrays his country, like for real, betrays his country, and she hates him. But she doesn't really hate him because he betrayed his country. She hates him because all he did was leave her a note. And I guess it's maybe more along the lines of she wanted a chance to accept his decision. Right. But it is kind of like they hate each other. Well, she hates him for a while there, so it's kind of works.
Yeah.
And then they
get back together.
Because my love for Zuko is stronger than my fear of you, or something along those lines. You know. Sorry, go ahead.
This was not the trope we had planned to talk about.
No, it is not.
But I think it worked. It
was enemies to friends, is what Gimli and Legolas.
Yes, Gimli and Legolas is another enemies to friends. And I like the way enemies to friends works because it shifts dynamics. Like that's one of the things, like if you have a group or even a person,
dynamics are a very strong part of your writing.
And it's like these are how these characters interact. Then you have a villain or an enemy, not necessarily an antagonist, be like, all right, here you introduce them into the group. All of these dynamics in here change. And I think that's really interesting. It happens twice in Avatar, actually. But not when Toph joins the group and when Zuko joins the group.
Oh, Toph.
And it's really interesting because it illuminates these characters. I won't go into as many. I won't talk about Zuko because there's more spoilers there, but I'll go with Toph.
Toph and Katara.
Yeah, because Toph and Katara don't really like each other. They're okay with each other. They don't mesh.
They have very different views of...
And very strong personalities. And so, for a long time, for all of season 1 into season 2, it's the three of them. It's Sokka, and Katara. And then Toph joins.
And it upsets the balance.
Right, it upsets the balance because now Katara and Toph are fighting. So then, now, it used to be like just, the three of us were all having fun. But then now it's... Aang and Zuko are paired off, trying to like manage the conflict over here. Katara and Aang are kind of like still have a strong relationship,
you mean Sokka? Aang and Sokka?
Or Katara and Aang.
No, but the first one.
Yeah, because now they're paired off together because these people are fighting. They're fine with Toph. Like they have their conflicts, but it's like for the most part they're cool with it. So now you have these two people who aren't so much the emotional support people. Who are like, all right, what do we do?
You could kind of compare it to like a family where the parents have different views of parenting because Katara is very like structured, very organized, very responsible. and the main conflict comes in an episode where Toph starts conning people to get money, and the boys are like, heck yeah, this is fun. And Katara's like, this is wrong, you can't do this.
Right.
And it kind of has the idea of a parent who's like, I want my kids to have fun and to like me and to like know how to survive and doesn't really care about the moral side of it.
Right.
And then you have like the parent who's telling you, no, you need to be responsible. And because kids need both, they accept both, but the parents can't figure out how to do it together.
And it's really interesting because that changes the dynamics and it provides character growth.
It does.
And
I think figure out a compromise because they realize that they need a little bit of both.
And the same thing happens with Zuko, but different stuff. We're like at an hour already.
You're gonna have to edit this.
No.
No? None of it? Okay.
No, I'm gonna edit it.
Okay.
But not that much.
Okay, fair enough. Which ones are our favorites that we want to talk about here? Because
I want to talk about
that one.
Okay. I have one that I want to go on.
I want to talk about that one.
Yes. One of...
Oh.
I don't know.
I want to touch on that one. Just as like a thing.
Absolutely.
I couldn't think of many, but...
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
But
go ahead.
one of my favorite tropes, and then we can go for some of those.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. But...
I'm going to apologize anyway.
I'm just going to call it Muggles Fixing Magic Problems. I don't even know if this is technically a trope, but
I think it's a trope because you say it's...
Yeah.
Not my coffee.
And like, you know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's like, you have all of these magical, fantastical problems, but like, Reckoners is a great example.
Yeah.
The premise for Reckoners is people all over the world get superpowers.
And they're
all of them are evil. And so then the Reckoners are a group of normal humans who have decided, all right, well, we've got to like stop all of these supervillains now. And it's really interesting because when you have someone powered against someone powered, it's like an even playing field. And there's like a very straightforward dynamic. But if it's a Muggle fixing magic problems, then the Muggle will always be at an unfair advantage. And they have to struggle. Like David. Yeah.
He's another smart idiot, so he uses his knowledge and his like ability to problem solve to make him okay, spoilers for the end of Reckoners, the very end of the last book.
Jump to this timestamp if you want to avoid those spoilers. Somewhere. I don't know where to point yet.
It's gonna be somewhere on the
somewhere.
Oh yeah, but he Prof is a powered person who's able to give his powers to other people.
And thereby like resist the corruption of the power.
Yeah. But like, I don't know if you've read, what do you know about the last book?
I know everything.
Do you know what I'm going for?
I've read all the spoilers.
Okay, so in the last book, Prof is like the leader of their team, and for a long time, like, yes, they have to use technology and their smarts to get ahead of these powered people, but they also have this power, so they kind of have superpowers to help them.
Right.
Until their superpowered person turns evil.
And leaves.
Then they have an, oh shoot, what now moment? Because they no longer have those powers to rely on. So they do have that later on, but they don't exactly have it at the beginning. You think they have it because they explain it away with technology.
Yeah.
That's not technology. If you haven't read Reckoners, don't be fooled.
Yep.
That's not technology. Anyway.
Yeah. But that's what's interesting is, what other books do this?
I was thinking.
Rhythmatist. Rhythmatist does
Arcane.
it. This is kind of where I got the idea for it, for the name of this trope, because the one sentence description of Rhythmatist is, you're the one Muggle at Hogwarts.
Oh yeah.
That's the premise of the story. And it's really interesting to watch somebody who doesn't have magic, especially someone who knows a lot about magic and likes magic and is interested in it, but can't do it. And it also creates like this really fun atmosphere of like, I don't know, it's kind of encouraging to all those people who are like, I want to do something and I'm really bad at it.
Don't do it. Give up. Give up on your dreams.
Give up on your dreams and die.
Don't do that.
Don't give up on your dreams and die. It's a reference. We're sorry.
Somebody told me that I sounded like I was giving them an anime pep talk. You better watch this video because I told you to. But, you know who you
We'll
are.
know if you didn't.
We'll know.
Who is this? Of course it is.
But yeah, you said I sounded like I was giving you an anime pep talk. And so I said, no, if I was giving you an anime pep talk, it would sound like this. And then I sent you the screenshot it's from Attack on Titan. And it's Levi, and he just says, give up on your dreams and die. I mean, that is...
But what's even better about that scene is the person he's talking to is like, oh, thanks, man.
Thanks, man. And then he does. Minor spoilers for Attack on Titan, but...
Major spoilers for Attack on Titan.
But I didn't say who it was, and if you don't see it coming...
Yeah.
Get some more intuition.
Ouch.
Oh.
Okay, but another subtrope of this that I really like is the one person on the team who doesn't have powers. Sokka. And Hawkeye. He's who I wanted to talk about with this because, especially like in the first two of... Yes. Just a guy with a bow and arrow. Didn't ask for all these flying aliens and magic.
Literally.
Yeah. And it's so fun because you get those like everyman vibes of like, I'm not being paid enough for this.
He does have those vibes.
Yes. And it's like, it's so fun because you get this perspective and you have this character that you can relate to because we don't have powers either, I'm assuming. She's full of surprises. I don't really know. She might be an Allomancer. Might be.
Another example of this kind of is Adolin.
Adolin. Yeah.
You don't think about it, but like
Adolin from the
everybody,
Stormlight Archive.
well,
for now.
everybody around him is like, look, I'm a Radiant now.
Yeah.
And then Adolin's like, I have a sword.
Just a guy with a shard blade. I didn't ask for all this flying and magic.
Yeah, but like if you think about it, literally everybody he's close to has magic.
And he's the only one who doesn't, and that makes him really interesting.
But he never,
because
we never talk about it.
Right. But
like Sokka, we kind of talk about it.
That's part of
Hawkeye, we talk about it. But we don't talk about it with Adolin.
Yeah.
Partially because
we
don't know. This is
we're convinced that he's gonna be a
I think he's going to be a very special person because he's already very special.
Yes.
He's gonna be more special.
But I think what I like about this trope is that it highlights the qualities. It highlights other qualities. Like you think Hawkeye, like Iron Man can fly. Captain America is super strong.
Iron Man is kind of also that, but not exactly because he's smart.
He makes his own powers.
He's smart.
But Hawkeye literally just has a bow and arrow. Hawkeye's
not a genius. Right. He's the only person. We'll put it this way. He's the only person on the team who either doesn't have powers, is a genius, or was like literally raised from birth to do this and like kind of manufactured to do this.
Because when you think about it from a narrative point of view, everyone but Hawkeye has superpowers. Even Black Widow doesn't have superpowers, but if you go and like watch some of her fight scenes and watch how that works, because she never takes a punch. Like maybe she does, but if so, it's only to highlight how strong she is and how capable she is. Iron Man has a suit that's basically magic.
And she was raised from birth to do this.
Yes.
And I haven't read the comics, so I don't. Somebody, Titus, correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't think Hawkeye was like raised in this environment. I think he was a somewhat normal person. I'm sure he has trauma and things that I don't know about. Everybody has trauma. I'm sure he has things that like I don't know about. But like as far as like the rest of the people on the team go, he is the most normal person.
Right.
Like Black Widow was like, if you've seen Black Widow, literally raised from childbirth to be like an assassin.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark
is a genius.
Tony Stark.
And has a flying suit.
And and built a flying suit. His genius is his superpower. Black Widow, her like experience, I guess is how you would put it, is her superpower.
Thor's a god.
Thor's a god. Steve Rogers did some steroids.
Steve Rogers did some roids.
Are you gonna... Does YouTube like do things?
I don't know.
Words?
I suppose we'll find out.
Because I know that if you do that.
I mean, it's not like they can demonetize me.
This is true.
I'm not making any money. I'm not making any money.
We're just here for the laughs.
For the memes. But it also makes it really interesting because if you like compare a fight with Black Widow to a fight with Hawkeye, like Hawkeye gets hurt and you see him after the fight and he gets up and he's like, oh.
Well, and they have that fight in the first Avengers movie. He's trying his best. He's like, probably not trying to kill her, but like, well, you know, he's under the influence of the Mind Stone. Right. So he is trying with everything he has. He doesn't care if he hurts her. They are both, whereas she might even be holding back so she doesn't kill him, and she still wins. Right. He's the norm. He's the norm. The Muggle.
And because of that, we also get lines like in Age of Ultron when, like, him, the normal person interacting with powers of like Quicksilver runs by, is like, keep up, old man, and runs off, and he's like, nobody would know. Nobody. And just like, it's also like interesting because in that moment we see his like selflessness and his like. He's way out of his league and like keeps getting like beat down basically, like.
And you see him give a pep talk in that movie to Wanda. Powered. He's like giving her this pep talk of, if you don't think you can handle this, you can stay. Dude, you have a bow and arrow. Right. You're like a normal, like he acknowledges it, but like you're a normal
even person. In that pep talk, he's like, okay, the city's flying. We're fighting an army of robots.
And I have a
bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
Yeah, but he's like giving a pep talk to a powered person who should be like flying over his head and killing like 10 a second, where he's like got like a few, like a couple every minute, you know. Or something.
And it's really interesting, and we also get that scene after the battle. He like collapses onto
and everybody else is still going,
and he's just like, I'm done, I'm tapped out. But it makes that
he's very relatable.
He's relatable and he's empathetic, and it also is like, I don't know, there's something about that.
He's not like the I'm too old and I don't get paid enough for this. Both of those at the same time.
I love it. It really works. Muggles Fixing Magic Problems, you guys. Let's make this a trope.
Does he fix anything though?
I don't know.
He's just great.
He's just great.
He was my favorite.
Sokka does the same thing, but we already talked about Sokka.
Do you
want to do like one more trope?
Yeah. Okay. I did really fast forget to mention one enemies to friends, like 5-second spoilers for Attack on Titan. Reiner and Annie. And everybody else. So good. We don't have to talk about it. We'll talk about it later. You're not.
The thing is, you could totally pull the anime spoiler thing. Like, just say that it's totally a spoiler. No one knows what you're talking about.
Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Annie and Reiner.
That's
it. If you know,
enemies
you know.
to friends.
That's it. That's all you know. I mean, like, even that in and of itself doesn't really spoil anything.
Yeah.
Because you're not. I'm not saying who they're enemies to friends with.
Exactly. Boom.
There we go. It's only a spoiler if you look it up.
Don't look it up.
Don't look it up. Can I just like list some of the tropes on here?
Yeah,
and talk about them?
For sure.
Random characters. I'm not gonna like talk about this one, but random characters getting roped into the schemes of the main characters and being very confused. Not even like, oh, this normal person gets roped into these schemes, but like they don't know what's going on and nobody explains it to them.
Frodo? Except he's the protector.
And people explain it to him.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I mean like side characters. Like, well, I guess I don't mean side characters because Arthur from Hitchhikers is on here. That's
Arthur Dent, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm going to pull it out. And Vin, kind of.
Vin a lot. Mistborn is all of these.
Oh look, Art of War. I'm not pretentious.
I had villains who get along with the main characters. I love like, what's the line? You seem a good fellow.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you. You seem a decent fellow. I hate to die.
That one, you know,
So
that
good.
thing, it's really good. Chosen ones who fail are turned evil.
I actually had that one on my list. The antagonists and protagonists who actually would get along.
Yeah. Industrial fantasy, that's just like a subgenre. It's my favorite.
So good.
Main characters with parents. Like good parents. Why do we never
Okay.
we never see this?
We never see this.
I like was trying to make a list last night. I was like,
okay.
Jesper has a parent.
Okay.
That's all I got.
So I'm passionate about this.
Okay, and then I have one more I want to talk about, but
Yeah.
we'll
But
do it fast.
every story has a problem that they have to explain, and it's why is this specific person solving this problem? And so when it comes to YA fiction or anything involving a child or young protagonist,
it's mostly a problem in YA.
Mostly a problem in
Sean
YA.
Spencer's on here. He has both of his parents. They're both great and they're both involved in the show, but like he's an adult. He's in his 30s. So
Right.
That's less so.
And so the story has to explain especially YA has to explain, and middle grade, why is this child solving the world's problems?
You want to know the easiest way to explain it?
Their parents
are dead. That's not interesting.
No.
Stop doing it. I hate it.
And
I love my parents. And most of the time when I ask them if I can do things, they're like, you are an adult. You have to make this decision for yourself. I'm like, I don't want to. So, write that.
Yeah. One of the stories that does this really well is Wingfeather. The Wingfeather Saga.
That's on here.
Hold on. The Wingfeather Saga.
I have the rest of
Because
this book. I am that person.
Yes, you are the This is the person who stole my
I'm
books.
sorry. You know what?
I gave them to you.
Hold on. Where are my books?
What books? I don't have any of your books.
I want my books back.
I don't have any of your books.
2 of them are sitting right there.
No, they're not! Don't listen to her. She's crazy.
I am crazy, but not. Where are my books, like, actually?
Oh, they're up here.
Oh, okay, continue. Sorry.
I'm sorry. But in the Wingfeather Saga, there are, like, it's 3 kids. They're the main protagonists.
They're wonderful.
It's their mother and their grandpa, and they do things as a unit, and the parents trust the kids to be responsible and work with them. And even when they're separated from the parents, the goal is always to get back so we can do this thing together.
It's very family. I love family written in fiction, and nobody ever does it.
Right.
People are always like, this character's an orphan and an only child, and they're all
alone
alone in the world. That's so boring.
It's so much less interesting.
It's
boring.
I think it's boring. Fight me.
It can be done. It isn't
It can
boring,
be done,
but
it's
it shouldn't be the only thing that
it's
is
a
written.
cop-out.
Yeah.
And I think cop-outs are boring. If there's a plot hole, you don't, like, glaze over it and say, well, this character's dead.
Yeah.
That's not how you fill a plot hole.
And it also makes for, like, much more interesting storytelling and dynamics when you have kids interacting with their parents. And it's healthy, I think, because so much of these things that we see in these reactions is
healthy.
so unhealthy. Like, these YA protagonists, someone give them therapy, please. But then it's like...
Looking at you. I know you've done it. Don't do it.
You writer there.
No.
Give your character therapy.
No.
What?
I know you've done it because I did it when I first started writing.
Yeah.
Another one on here is the main character. What's her face? The girl.
Serene?
That is not how I thought you were going to say that. Okay, that character.
What did you think I was going to say?
No, I knew. I don't know how to say her name.
It's Serene. Because the aeons have equal emphasis on both syllables.
Anyway, this girl.
It's linguistics. It says it in the back.
Shut up. This girl on the cover here. Stay upright. This girl on the cover
I refuse. I'm going to lay on the floor for the rest of the podcast.
Like, it's less so... I can't get that back in. It's less so in Elantris.
Why am I doing this? You have extroverted sensing.
It's less so in Elantris, but she does talk to her dad, and she like has a good relationship with her father.
Yeah.
And she's an adult, so she's like self-sufficient, and that's why we can say, oh, her dad's not solving her problems for her. But her dad is there, and she has somebody to lean on.
Exactly. It's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
It's so great. Kaladin's parents are great.
They're wonderful. He doesn't have an incredible relationship with them, but that wasn't the point. The point was parents who don't suck.
Yes.
Who
Give
exist.
us more parents who don't suck and also exist.
Jesper, Six of Crows, his dad is wonderful. Scout.
Atticus Finch.
One of my favorite characters of all time.
So good. Enneagram 1. We'll talk about him in the video.
And then Wingfeather was on there.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So those were all the ones I had for that. I'm sure there are more. Those are the only ones that came to mind. Good job.
There we go.
Wait,
is there more?
There's one
Oh,
more.
I was talking about the book.
Oh. No. There's no more.
Oh yeah, I put it back and I was very proud of myself.
Okay. And then finally we have one of my, I don't know, it's tied between like the self-appointed chosen one and this trope, the Crusader antagonist. I love it so much because, and it kind of goes along, I like it when it's paired with this trope, the self-appointed chosen one, and the like villain antagonists and protagonists who get along. When those are all paired together, it's so great because the antagonist and the protagonist aren't necessarily fighting against each other. They're fighting against each other's worldviews.
Right.
And it's so good.
Which is like such a rich environment for thematic development and all of that.
I write this so much. It's in like all of my books.
It's fantastic.
It's in all of my books. But
and like
sorry, go ahead. But I was just gonna
Crusader antagonist.
Yeah.
Thanos.
How do you say it? I don't know how to say words.
I think it's Sanderson's very nice as an author, and he says you can pronounce it however you feel like you want to pronounce it. It's Kelsier. I'm not dead, and it's Kelsier.
Sometimes I can still hear his voice.
Whoa, weird.
It's in my brain. I can't get him out. But yeah, Crusader antagonist.
Crathen from Elantris. Who else have we got? Crusader antagonist.
Those are the main two. I just write it a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all I can think about are my characters.
I'm looking at books.
But like, if you know Enneagram / if you watch Caleb's Enneagram videos before you watch this, /
probably gonna be a while.
if you go and watch this right after, Enneagram 1s specifically as antagonists are so good. Because Enneagram 1s, I'm not going to give your Enneagram spiel.
Basically, Enneagram 1s, the Enneagram is kind of like it shows like the light and the shadow of the type. And so when 1s are really concerned with what is right. And so when they're healthy, when they're in a good space, they are concerned with knowing truth and knowing what is right and doing what is good and right. But then when they're unhealthy, 1s need to be right. And so that's that interesting dynamic of like, I have decided that this is right and I will do anything to make it so.
Yeah, but especially like I said, that paired with protagonists and antagonists who get along is like, I have to do this. And if you stand in my way, I'm going to have to like hurt you to get what where I need to be. But I don't want this to ruin our friendship, or I don't want this to kill you, but I will do whatever it takes because this ideal is more important than your life.
Yes. And it just makes it so
usually that character's own life as well. They're selfless antagonists.
Yes.
It's kind of like a subcategory of this.
And it's interesting because it makes the characters and the reader question who's right. And like, yes.
We wrote it.
Yeah, we did.
I wrote it a lot. We wrote it where this character, he's very charismatic and he's the antagonist. And there are times while we've been writing that we've questioned if our characters are actually in the right or if the antagonist is correct. We still don't know.
We do not.
So
yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
But Crusader antagonists.
We should just like
fun.
cut the video off. Like really
do we?
quickly.
Or maybe we should like ramble.
No, we're gonna keep rambling. I meant like you should just cut it off. Oh, I had others on here actually. But I skipped.
I don't know how much time we have.
Yeah, I know.
Though.
I was just gonna read them.
Okay.
My like really
Rapid
random
fire.
one that was on here, really scary and or quiet people being dorks slash
Yeah.
nerds on the inside. You've seen it. It's not that
When
uncommon.
scary people are actually nerds.
Oh, I love it.
It's so great.
This is my favorite example.
Yes, Wax.
Wax.
He's her husband.
He's my husband. Passive aggressive political interactions. I like political fantasy. It's my favorite. The only example I could think of, the only examples I could think of were Sanderson, like a lot of his stuff.
A lot of Sanderson.
A lot of Sanderson. Well of Ascension,
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And King of Scars in the Grishaverse.
Nice.
Is that it? I think that's it. Yes, that's it.
Well, awesome.
Those are all of my tropes.
This was our...
All the tropes that I wrote down at midnight last night.
Because when else do you write down tropes? Not...
Actually, more than you would think.
Fair enough.
Those were my main ones, so I don't know.
Nice.
Do you have any others?
I mean,
Honorable
no, that was kind of
mentions?
it. You thought about this a lot more than I did. I had my 2 tropes that I really liked.
Did you write them down on that sticky note?
I wrote 2 out of 3 of them down, I think.
What was
One
the
of them-
third one?
One of them you already wrote down, so I decided not to.
Oh. The smart idiot.
Smart idiots. Then Muggles Fixing Magic Problems. And then there was one other. I think it was... Well, let me see your list.
Hold on. Phone's being
There we go.
Aha.
Aha! It was... Oh, villains who get along with main characters.
This was great.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of examples of that one,
Mhm.
and I struggled because I could only think of our books.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you.
You
seem a decent fellow.
I hate to die. Yeah, there's that one, but I don't know. That one's not really villains. They're just heroes who don't realize that they're all on the same side.
Yes.
It's
Basically.
least favorite trope. Honorable mention of one of my least favorite tropes. Probably my least favorite, but there are a lot of horrible ones. Miscommunication. Speak to each other. It's not. I can't think of a single instance where I have seen that done well. Hey, this is my only rant.
There we go. Rant count 1.
It's like a mini rant. Usually these last.
I'll go
4
through.
hours.
I will be the arbiter of what is a rant and what is not.
Okay then.
We'll see. It's probably just this one because she's always right.
I also. Yeah, Caleb doesn't rant about things. I want him
don't.
to. I hate read things occasionally.
I don't
YA
really.
mostly.
I hate like 5 things, maybe.
Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
Don't watch it.
No,
We
like
watched
5
it
things
so
in
that we-
general. Not
Oh.
like 5 stories, 5 things. Kinda. Maybe it's more like 10.
Do you hate feet?
A soft 10. No.
I
We're
have-
both wearing shoes and socks.
You're not wearing shoes.
Well,
I
socks are just...
should I take off my shoes and prove that I don't have leg stumps?
Hold on, I need to say something. Because socks are just flexible shoes. Think about that. Should we end on that?
Yes.
Socks are flexible shoes. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Like, subscribe, self-promotion things.
Leave a comment.
Leave
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment down in the comment section.
Telling me.
Share the video.
No, shush. Telling me how much you hate me on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being. I don't know what
Wait.
it is.
It's the rating system.
10 being I am Moash.
Oh, whoa. Watch your mouth.
I'm so sorry. YouTube can demonetize me for that.
YouTube can demonetize you for saying the Moash word. I'm sorry.
You go undulate off to the corner.
I will go undulate away, sadly. Goodbye, thank you, and see you in the next video.
Thanks.
Give SG some love in the comments.
Bye.